Here is where the old becomes new. I don't know about you, but there are parts of me, parts of my story, parts of my life, things that I've done, things that have been done to me that make me feel like I am too far gone. Like God could never forgive someone like me. Like I'm not valuable, like I am not worthy of love, like I am unseen, unheard, unreachable, unlovable, broken, alone. Have you ever felt that way? Do you feel that way? But friends, why would we look for life in our past? Here is where the old becomes new. 2 Corinthians 5:14 through 21 says, "For the love of Christ compels us, since we have reached this conclusion. If one died for all, then all died. And he died for all so that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for the one who died for them and was raised. From now on then, we do not know anyone from a worldly perspective. Even if we have known Christ from a worldly perspective, yet now we no longer know him in this way. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old is gone, and see, now the new has come. Everything is from God, who has reconciled us to himself through Christ and has given us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, in Christ, God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and he has committed the message of reconciliation to us. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ. Since God is making his appeal through us, we plead on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. He made the one who did not know sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God." This passage seems to have a lot to say about our past. This passage reminds us of Jesus' work on the cross. It tells us that we no longer know anyone through a worldly perspective, but that in Christ we are a new creation. The old is gone, the new has come. This passage tells us that when God, through Christ, reconciled the world to himself, he no longer counts our trespasses against us. When he looks at us, he doesn't see our sin. When he looks at us, he doesn't see our past. When he looks at us, he sees Jesus' work on the cross. We are called the righteousness of God. Here is where the old becomes new. In Luke chapter 23, Jesus is crucified, and as he was beaten, mocked, spit on, as he hung on the cross, he says, "Father, forgive them, because they do not know what they are doing." In our worst moments, when we mock him, spit in his face, betray him, beat him, crucify him, Jesus advocates for us. He forgives us. He sees our past as already made new. If we continue on in Luke 23, we see that Jesus was crucified between two criminals. And as he hung on the cross, one of them cried out, "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus says to him, "Truly, I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." In a moment, old made new, past forgotten, death becomes life. Jesus didn't take this as an opportunity to remind the criminal of his past, to define him by his past, to condemn him because of his past. No, he says, "Today you will be with me in paradise." In Matthew and Mark, it says that just before Jesus died, a darkness came over the whole land. And as he hung on the cross, Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me?" There's beautiful lyrics in a song called "It Is Finished" by Passion that say, "The cross is my beginning, the line drawn in the sand. The end of all my striving, now I am born again. There, Jesus was forsaken, so that I will never be. Jesus is forsaken so that we won't ever be forsaken. The cross is our beginning. Here is where the old becomes new. When we look for life in our past, because of Jesus, our past proclaims the goodness of God. Because when God looks at our past, he sees his love, his forgiveness, his redemption. When God looks at our past, he sees the cross. When God looks at our past, he sees Jesus. Our past is where death comes to life, where wounds are healed, where brokenness is made whole, where sin is forgiven, where sorrow is turned to joy, where lies are restored to something true, where the old is made new. Here is where the old becomes new.